Hey everybody, my name's Aaron McDonald, and you are watching My Private Parts. I was gonna try and get an episode out before Halloween, but um, I wasn't able to. There was no time, there was no money. I'm no fucking good. I'm no good. I'm no good. So I had to postpone. So as opposed to getting the episode out on time, which would have been nice as per the structure of this episode, I'm gonna do it now. So tonight we're gonna be talking about Night of the Demons is Knights of the Demons. Knights of the Demons is Knights of the Demons is. Um, so we're going to be talking about the Night of the Demons franchise, with a few surprises in there, except for the first film, the 1980s film with Linnea Quigley. That movie is reserved for John and I, so I cannot talk about that. But I will be talking about the franchise and the remake going forward. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is Night of the Demons 2. So, just to kind of catch you up, Night of the Demons is about these, about this unpopular girl Angela, and she's gonna have this Halloween party at this historically haunted house called Hull House, and they do this party there, and turns out this place is not only haunted, but it's possessed by demons, and the demons go and start to possess all the friends in the group. It's got Linnea Quigley. It's directed by Kevin Tenney, who did a bunch of 80s horror movies, including Witchboard and Witch Trap, and but the Night of the Demons was kind of his big, one of his bigger movies. So we won't be talking. I highly encourage you to go and watch Night of the Demons 1 before finishing this episode or moving on from this point. I'll give you a moment. So Night of the Demons 2 is takes place at the same, it's still at a Hull House. So in Night of the Demons 2, Angela's sister Mouse is going to a Catholic high school, and pretty she's pretty fucked up over what happened to Angela. Angela, like, in her eyes, Angela went and had this party and disappeared. All sorts of rumors came out of that. And so she's kind of like, not only is she super traumatized, but she also has this reputation of being like kind of an insane girl. And some of the guys, like, there are the bad Catholic high school girls and boys that kind of decide to have a Halloween party, have their own Halloween party, aside from their school, at the Hull House, and bring Mouse with her, or with them. And this movie is directed by BTS, Brian Trenchard Smith, who is a big, Tarantino's a big fan of his. He's an Australian director who's known for doing like a bunch of like pretty classic Australian cult movies. He directed like one of his best movies, I think, is Dead End Drive-In, but he directed Stunt Rock and Man from Hong Kong, and frog, or not Frog Drink. We knew it as The Quest, which was Henry Thomas, like Henry Thomas's follow up to E.T. and he's like living in Australia, and he's on this hunt for this beast who lives in like it's basically the Loch Ness monster. But that was a big. I saw that on HBO a lot when I was a kid. Like that lives in my memory as the quest, and it was kind of, I don't want to say kindred trauma, but it was definitely like some of those parts are seared into my memory. So Brian Trenchard Smith, this was an effort to come over here and like make movies in the States, and he came over and he directed this and some other stuff. But I got really excited. I was looking up his IMDb, and Brian Trenchard Smith directed, which is apropos, but he directed a bunch of episodes of Silk Stockings, which was a super sleazy show on the USA Network that were about these two detectives, I think in Miami or something, but they were always just crushing ass and chasing killers. And it was a very, very sexy show. And so Brian Trenchard Smith did a bunch of those episodes. So in Night of the Demons 2, it has a lot of the gore and the nudity. There's something. So the gore and the nudity, as per the franchise, are they're really, really good in Night of the Demons 2. Some of the effects are just are fucking really cool. But there's something I know that the 80s are known for their kind of gratuitous nudity, and that's not untrue. But the 90s also had gratuitous nudity, but there's something like not as there's a camp to the 80s nudity. In the 90s, it feels like really leering and like sleazy, but not in a fun way. It feels like really questionable, but I'm here for it. Fuck it. So the nudity and the gore effects are really good. There's a it's got a bunch of like 90s up and comers. Christine Taylor is in it, who is in, I mean, she's in a bunch of stuff. She's a super preppy girl from The Craft whose hair falls out after she's making fun. She was Marcia in the Brady Bunch movie. She was married to Ben Stiller. She's in she's the bisexual lady from Dodgeball. She's in a bunch of Stiller movies, but you would definitely know her if you saw her. I mean, she's like, especially if you're a 90s kid, like she's unavoidable. It has the kind of punk kid from Tremors, whose dad gets eaten, and he's like, for some reason he's dribbling like this, and is all of a sudden like one of the graboids, like his basketball just disappears, and he goes up the light pole. He's like one of the main characters in it. It's got a bunch of these kids that you saw kind of repeatedly in like 90s schlock or just good 90s movies. And he is like a student that's like really into demonology and stuff, and kind of like knows what's really going on at Hull House and how to, in theory, defeat these. Actually, he kind of sets the ball rolling with like summoning Angela, and Angela is the same kind of. Angela is always played by Amelia Kincaid. She follows through the original trilogy, and so Amelia Kincaid always plays Angela, and he's summoned her. And there's a scene that's kind of something out of I think it was pre Dusk Till Dawn. There are super soakers with holy water. There's a nun that is battle ready and ready to kick some ass. I mean, this is just like a really, really fun, cool movie. And you should totally check it out on your Night of the Demons run. Okay, next we're going to talk about Night of the Demons 3. This I couldn't find on streaming anywhere, and so I had to purchase this, which I did for you guys. So, you're welcome, and I'm welcome, I guess. Night of the Demons 3 is not good. It's not terrible, but it is, it's just not, this is definitely one of those cases of diminishing returns. So, this movie really reminds me of Warlock 3. If you've seen the first two Warlocks, you get Julian Sands in the first two, and the second one's directed by Alex Hickox, and it's all they're both like really good movies. And then you get to the third one, and you get Timu Julian Sands, the dude from that was the villain in Passenger 57, playing the titular Warlock, and I think you get as Ashley Lawrence in it, and she's like the best part of the movie. Both of these they're the third in a franchise, and they both are Hot Topic, the movie of the 90s. It's all about like big giant Jinko Janes and those big like steel ball like bracelets and necklaces and chokers and like black clothes and short hair or short hair on the ladies, long hair on the guys, tank tops, I guess, on the guys. And they're all, I mean, really like bad special effects. They look like episodes of Sliders, or like in the 90s we had these they were like computer graphics, like they were like demos where you could see they were trying to show you how crazy computer graphics were, and they were all just terrible. And I mean, that's the level of computer CGI in these movies. But they still hold a place in nostalgia, like if you were like young during that period. So this movie is about a bunch of like ne'er-do-wells. There's a great van. I'm a van guy, and there's a great van in this movie, and these punks are like traveling around, and they're looking for trouble, and they end up picking up these girls that are on their way to a Halloween party, the good girls that break down, and they get picked up by this van. And they end up at this gas station, and it's so terrible. The only black kid with him is like at the counter asking, I can't even remember what he's asking for. He's trying to buy liquor or something, and the dude behind the counter is like losing his shit, and like all of a sudden the cops show up, and I mean, it's like that really escalated quickly. One of the kids gets the clerk's shotgun and shoots him, and then the black kid gets shot by the cops, and it's like all fucking hell. And then they shoot the cop. I mean, it's pandemonium. And so they split, and they're looking for a place to hide. And where do they end up? They end up at Hull House, right? And so, they get in there, and Angela shows up, and of course it's Halloween, and things go really, really sideways. If you can catch this movie streaming somehow or watch it on YouTube or something, I would do that. If you can rent it for cheap, I would try that. I couldn't find that option anywhere, and so, I am a completionist, but did I really need Night of the Demons 3? I don't know. But I guess I'm happy to have it. Okay, the next movie I'm going to talk about is the 2009 remake of Night of the Demons. This has Shannon Elizabeth plays Angela. Edward Furlong is in it, and Monica Keena, who was she was the lead. I guess you'd call her the final girl, but she was kind of the lead of Freddy vs. Jason, and so the update is they're in New Orleans. Shannon Elizabeth is a party promoter, and she decides to hold her Halloween party at the Broussard Manor, which is supposed to be one of the most haunted places in New Orleans and Nolens. Pardon me. That party gets shut down, but a few like Shannon Elizabeth and Keener and Furlong and a few of their friends are like still in the house to. I can't remember why. Somehow they get kind of trapped in there. I mean, like they stay behind, and then the house kind of traps them in there. This remake is way better than I gave it credit for when I first saw it in 2000. Like, I think I rented it on Redbox in like 2010 or something like that. And it was that during that time where there were a bunch of like super shitty remakes, or not even. Some of them were super shitty, some of them were good, but this wasn't even when you were getting the remakes that were like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Hills of Eyes. It was like a little bit post that. It was like when you were getting remakes of like Silent Night, or like Silent Night and Last House on the Left, which were just kind of, they just weren't great. And this was, as I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I was still living in rural Colorado when this came out. But as far as I know, this was kind of a direct-to-video remake. Shannon Elizabeth is in this movie she's like the penultimate. She is so hot in this movie. I mean, I hate to be like that guy, but she is so gorgeous in this film. And like growing up, she gave guys like me hope, because she at the time was married to this total schlub. And so it was like, oh my God, Shannon Elizabeth, like. I guess my mom was right. Maybe if I just have a great personality, I can get a catch. So this kind of starts out, and it's kind of like Hellraiser Deader meets Maximum. A bunch of you guys probably don't even know what Maxim is. It was a magazine that was kind of it's kind of the Spike TV of magazines at the time. It was just about like hot chicks and video games and crazy movies and extreme sport, or sports period. It was just kind of it was a men's magazine, but kind of geared toward like early 20s guys. The gore and the effects are ramped up in this. There's a famous lipstick scene from the first movie with Linnea Quigley. And this movie kind of ups the ante on that. It kind of this lipstick kind of goes full circle, and everything is just kind of ramped up to 10. Again, it's kind of like it's like 20, like early 2000s Hot Topic in a movie. But I will say that the performances from Shannon Elizabeth, Edward Furlong had kind of like waned. Like when he came out, he was kind of like everybody thought that he had like a ton of potential. And then he kind of started, he had some personal problems, and and then he did the Crow sequel, and so like his his talent started waning a little bit. And so when I was watching this movie when it first came out, I judged it pretty harshly on all this stuff. It was a remake. It had Edward Furlong. It had like Shannon Elizabeth hadn't done anything in a long time. It had Kina from Freddy vs. Jason, which is hit or miss. So I was judging it based on all this stuff, but really rewatching it now, the performances are actually like way better than I thought than I remember them being. The effects are really good. The storyline's really good. This is like a totally worthwhile and fun remake, and I would definitely. And I did not purchase this one. I did watch it on Tubi, so it's free on Tubi. Um, and when I say free on Tubi, in case you don't know, Tubi is free. Like all you got to do is sign up. There's no subscription price. Like Tubi is free. It just has commercials. But they have like a shitload of crazy, like hard to find movies on there. It's totally, it's super rad, and they also have a lot of well known movies. So if get Tubi, get Tubi. Um, okay, so those are the Night of the Demons movies. The last movie that I'm going to talk about is 1980's Night of the Demon. This is a film about a killer Bigfoot that maybe you've never seen or didn't know existed. So, Night of the Demon, 1980. I'm going to read the back really quick. Amid the gush of 1980's low-budget backwoods horrors, I'm always good at reading aloud and on camera. Amid the gush of early 80s low-budget backwoods horrors, only one lost classic brought together softcore sex, hardcore violence, satanic sex cults, and a limb-tearing, gut-slinging, dick-ripping beast for the best and bloodiest Bigfoot movie ever made. Buried.com. When a group of anthropology students heads into the forest to investigate a series of Sasquatch attacks, they'll discover an immortal brain blast of crazy hermits, mutilated Girl Scouts, interspecies copulation, and one of the goriest final scenes in the whole history of splatter flicks, a slash above. Producer slash co-writer Jim L. Ball and director James C. Wasson, deliver an anti-masterpiece that moves like a bullet, unlike anything you've ever seen. This is one of the video nasties, and everything you need to know is right there in that summary. This thing is chock full of some of the craziest shit you've ever this is a lost classic. Like this movie is wild. I would only recommend this movie to the people that are like really really want the cult experience or a deep dive on horror. This is not for people that are just that don't appreciate that kind of movie. It's not a great. Like the performances are it's a good bad movie, right? We kind of open on this dude who's like covered in bandages, and it's like the whole movie is told in like a series of flashbacks, it's all like almost the whole thing, except for like the last 10 minutes, is like told um as like remember like oh, I heard this story about this, or like I said, like the movie begins as a flashback. um all the kill scenes are, I mean, for like there's a surprising amount of daytime horror in this movie. Almost every kill in this is during the daytime. And they're they are insane, dude. I mean, like, nobody's safe in this movie. This is not a Bigfoot movie. This is not like a movie where, like, is Bigfoot real? Like, are we? This movie supposes that Bigfoot is real and he's gonna fuck you up. Like, you want to stay out of his way. If you get caught, you know, you may be trying to find Bigfoot, but you probably don't want to know what's gonna happen when you do find him. It is, yeah, it's just a series of the insane kills made more insane by the fact that it's a Bigfoot murdering people this way. The Bigfoot in this looks like a cross. It looks like Lou Ferrigno's Hulk as a werewolf. I mean, he's just this like jacked dude. His face almost looks like he's melting, and he's super like got he almost looks like Baraka or something. He's got like a hairy chest and a hairy shoulders, but he's brown, you know. And this place, there's this there's this there's this character in it that's Crazy Wanda, and poor Crazy Wanda is done no favors in this movie. She gets she gets fucked five ways from Sunday, uh, figuratively and literally, and she's done dirty in this movie. Poor Crazy Wanda is does not turn out things don't turn out well for Crazy Wanda, uh, through no fault of her own. You know, um, she had a troubled upbringing, shall we say, and even for a video nasty film, this movie goes to some shocking places, especially for a cryptid movie. You know, you wouldn't imagine like a Bigfoot movie going to some of the places that this goes, but it's in for a penny, in for a pound. They were trying to make $1 on this movie. They said this movie is gonna make money, period, and the way we're gonna do that is we're gonna put some shit in it, and they do, and it is terrific. Um, One thing I will say is, much like this show, continuity be damned. You'll be you know, in total daylight 1 second, and then same scene, same thing happening, complete darkness in the very next shot. So you know, if you can't deal with that stuff, you're not gonna like this movie, right? So I would highly recommend Night of the Demon to any horror or cult aficionados out there. And if you really want to complete your Night of the Demons' evening, if you really want to go on a run, I mean, we've already talked about roughly 5.5, 6 hours of movies, but you could watch Jacques Tourneur's 1950s movie, Night of the Demons, which I didn't include in here because technically it's also known as Curse of the Demon, and it's really classy. It has no business being on this list other than the title. And you could also watch Tales from the Crypts, Demon Knight, to really round out. This movie fucking rocks. I'm not going to talk about it today because I think I'm going to try and do an Ernest Dickerson show. But there's nothing not great about this movie and the soundtrack to this movie. So definitely watch that as well. And I think that would actually make be like a really good capper on your Knights of the Demons uh, experience. So um, maybe next spooky season I can get the episode out on time and be able to wish John a happy birthday. By the way, if you see John, tell him that I miss him, that I love him, and that someday we shall be together again. So until next time, I love you guys, and we'll see you.